The hunter expected to find another normal night in the woods. Deer moving between the trees, animals passing through the darkness, the quiet routine of the forest. Nothing unusual. But when he opened the photos from his trail camera, he found something that made him stop. At first, the image looked empty, just darkness, trees, and shadows. But after looking closer, he noticed something that should not have been there. A figure, standing deep inside the forest. Not an animal, not a shadow, a person. But the location created one impossible question. Why was someone standing miles away from any road, in the middle of the night, in a place where almost nobody ever went? The hunter continued looking through the images, and that was when he noticed something even stranger. The figure wasn't leaving, it was getting closer. The first image showed the figure standing far away. The next image showed it slightly closer, and in the final photo, it appeared to be looking directly at the camera. Who was standing there in the darkness? And how did they know exactly where the camera was? Deep inside a remote forest area, far away from highways, houses, and regular hiking paths, a hunter placed several trail cameras during the beginning of fall. The location was chosen for one simple reason: wildlife activity. The area was known for deer movement, especially during the early morning and late evening hours. For weeks, the cameras captured exactly what he expected. Deer walking between the trees, foxes moving through the brush, birds landing near the camera. Nothing strange, nothing that seemed out of place, just the normal sounds and movements of the wilderness. The hunter checked the footage regularly. Most days were exactly the same, hundreds of pictures, normal wildlife, nothing worth saving. Until one night. At exactly 2:13 a.m., one of the cameras activated. A few seconds later, it captured a photograph. At first, the hunter almost deleted it. The image appeared empty. Dark trees, low visibility, almost nothing visible. But something in the background caught his attention. A shape, standing between two trees. Pause. He zoomed in, and that was when he realized it wasn't an animal. It looked like a person, a human figure standing completely still between the trees. At first, the hunter tried to explain it. Maybe someone was hunting nearby. Maybe another person had wandered into the area. Maybe someone was exploring the woods at night. But the more he thought about it, the less sense it made. The camera was miles away from the nearest road. There were no marked paths leading directly to the location, and there was no reason for anyone to be standing there in the middle of the night. Still, he didn't want to jump to conclusions, so he checked the rest of the images, and that was when the situation became stranger. The hunter continued looking through the images, and that was when he noticed something even stranger. The figure wasn't leaving, it was getting closer. The first image showed the figure standing far away. The next image showed it slightly closer, and in the final photo, it appeared to be looking directly at the camera. Who was standing there in the darkness? And how did they know exactly where the camera was? The hunter stared at the image. Because trail cameras are designed to capture animals, not people. And especially not someone standing alone in a place where nobody should be. The hunter decided to return to the location the next morning. Not because he wasn't nervous, he was, but he needed to know what had been standing there. When he reached the camera, everything appeared normal. The camera was still attached to the tree. The batteries were working. Nothing had been damaged. But when he started looking around the area, he noticed something. Small broken branches, marks in the dirt, and footprints leading toward the camera. The footprints stopped only a few feet away. They didn't continue past the camera. They simply ended. as if whoever made them had walked there, stood in that exact spot, and then disappeared back into the woods. The hunter searched the surrounding area. He walked through the trees, checked behind fallen logs, looked for any sign that someone had been staying nearby. But he found nothing. No campsite, no backpack, no equipment, nothing that explained why someone would have been there. The area was completely silent, almost too silent. Before leaving, he decided to check the camera one more time. Maybe there was something he had missed. Maybe another image would explain what happened. He opened the latest photographs. Most of them were normal. Animals moving through the forest, empty sections of trees. Nothing unusual. Until he reached the final photo, the image was almost completely black. At first, he thought it was useless, but after increasing the brightness, he noticed something. A shape standing between the trees. The figure was back. Same area, same position, same direction. Watching, but this time something was different. The figure was closer, much closer than before. The hunter replaced the camera but decided not to stay in the area. Over the next several days, he continued checking the footage. Most of it was normal. The forest returned to its usual routine: deer walking through the trees, animals passing by, the same quiet wilderness he had seen before. But one thing bothered him. The animals seemed to avoid that specific location. The camera still captured wildlife nearby, but almost nothing passed directly in front of that tree. Almost as if something had changed, or something was still there. Eventually, the hunter removed the camera. He never discovered who the figure was. He never found an explanation for the footprints. And he never understood how someone could have known the exact location of the camera. There were possible explanations. Maybe it was another person exploring the woods. Maybe someone had a reason to be there. Maybe there was a simple answer behind the images. But none of those explanations answered the questions that bothered him most. Why did the figure appear multiple times? Why did it move closer with every image? And how did it seem to know where the camera was? Years later, the footage remained one of the strangest things the hunter had ever recorded. Because forests are usually thought of as empty places. Places where you can disappear from the world. Places where nobody is watching. But trail cameras tell a different story. They watch when people are gone. They record when nobody is looking. And sometimes they capture something that was never meant to be seen.
The hiker almost walked past it. Hidden beneath fallen leaves, half buried in the dirt, was an old backpack sitting alone in a part of the forest where almost nobody ever went. At first, he thought it was just abandoned gear, something left behind by another traveler. But when he picked it up, he noticed something strange. The backpack looked old, very old. The fabric was damaged, the surface was covered with dirt. But the contents inside were still there, almost like someone had left it there and never returned. Inside that backpack was something that would connect him to a missing person case that had remained unsolved for more than 20 years, because the backpack didn't belong to someone who had recently disappeared. It belonged to someone who was never found. The discovery happened during a solo hiking trip through a remote mountain forest. The area was difficult to reach. No nearby towns, no busy trails, no regular visitors. The hiker had chosen the location because he wanted to explore a part of the wilderness that most people never saw. For most of the day, everything was normal. The trail was quiet. The weather was calm. The only sounds came from the wind moving through the trees and wildlife somewhere in the distance. until he noticed something unusual. A small piece of fabric sticking out from underneath a pile of leaves. At first, he ignored it. He assumed it was old trash. But something about it bothered him. The forest around him was completely untouched. There were no signs that anyone had been there recently. So why was there a backpack hidden beneath the leaves? He moved closer, cleared the dirt away, and there it was. An old backpack, covered in mud, faded from years of weather exposure. There was no name on it. Nothing that immediately explained who it belonged to. But when he opened it, he realized this wasn't ordinary abandoned equipment. Inside the backpack were several personal items. An old flashlight, a damaged notebook, a small camera, and a folded map of the surrounding area. The map immediately caught his attention. There were handwritten marks on it. Locations circled, notes written in the margins, almost like someone had been carefully documenting their journey. The hiker took pictures of everything before leaving the area. He knew the backpack might belong to someone who had simply lost it, but something felt wrong. The condition of the bag, the age of the equipment, the way it had been hidden beneath the forest floor. Everything suggested this backpack had been there for years. Not days, not weeks, years. When he returned home, he decided to search for answers. And that was when he found something he wasn't expecting. The backpack matched the description of a missing hiker from over 20 years earlier. The person had disappeared during a solo trip in the same forest area. For more than 2 decades, his family had lived without knowing what really happened to him. They never had answers. They never knew if he had gotten lost, if something had happened deep in the wilderness, or if they would ever find out the truth. Search teams had spent weeks looking for him. They searched trails, checked nearby areas, followed every possible lead, but they never found him. No body, no equipment, no clear explanation. Until now. The hiker compared the items from the backpack with the old missing person reports. The details matched. The location matched. Even the camera model was the same one mentioned in the original investigation. But there was one detail that made the discovery even stranger. The backpack had been found in an area that search teams had already checked years before. An area where they found nothing. No signs, no clues, nothing. After contacting local authorities, the camera inside the backpack was examined. Most of the photos were damaged. Time had affected the memory card. Many images were unreadable, but a few photographs remained. The first pictures showed normal hiking scenes. Trees, mountains, the trail. Nothing unusual. Just someone documenting their journey. Until the final photograph. It showed the same forest area where the backpack had been found. The same trees, the same landscape. But investigators noticed something strange. The photo appeared to have been taken after the date the hiker disappeared. No one could explain how. The camera should not have been working. The backpack should not have been there. And the person who owned it was never found. The area was searched again. Investigators looked around where the backpack had been discovered. They searched nearby trails, checked the surrounding forest, but they found no additional evidence. No campsite, no remains, nothing that explained what happened. The only thing left behind was the backpack and the questions inside it. Years later, the discovery remains one of the strangest details connected to the case, because forests can hide things for decades. Objects, memories, evidence. Sometimes, something lost in the wilderness can suddenly appear again.
But that doesn't always mean the mystery is solved.
Sometimes it only creates more questions. Because the strangest part was never finding the backpack. It was wondering why, after 20 years, it was waiting there.